It is I, the face of Don't Take Your Ex Back. So this poem was from the 14th of June 2025. So I don't know when was this written, but I'm going to share some of this wisdom that I just found in my old notebook. How to get over your ex fast. So number 1, you identify the op. Number 2, you plan your exit. And number 3, once you have exited, you don't flake. No matter how hard shit seems, you never go back to the thing that technically placed you in the situation that you are trying to liberate yourself from. Okay? So firstly, who's the op? The op is what got you in that situation. So the op could be ignorance or self-denial, like not listening. You know, we see the red flags, but we don't want to believe it. Especially when we have self-worth issues, then we're gonna be attached. We're gonna look for our mothers and fathers in the opposite sex, and that's not a good idea, right? So identify the op. Identify what got you into that situation. Is it people pleasing? Because remember, you can use the same thing on any relationship, not just the romantic one. You can use the same principles for cutting off a relative that you realize is draining you, or a bad influence, or whatever the case may be. And then number 3, no matter what, you don't flake. You don't flake. No matter how tough it gets, you don't flake. So, what do I mean? It can get tricky for us single mothers, right? So let's just say baby daddy now wants to return into your life. It's going to be on your terms. So first, he's not going to have access to you. He can only return into your life as a co-parent. Do you understand? You're never going to settle and give him that prime parts of you that only a alpha is worthy of. Do you understand? Okay? So when I say don't go back no matter how hard it gets, we are not going to make our lives hard. Do you understand? If he's willing to be present as a co-parent, then let him do that. And if he is not willing to do that, cut him off cold turkey. Okay? Let's see, what else? What other information? Why are so many colors chosen? Okay? Because they are reincarnated symbols of unity and acceptance. Wow. I mean, a color is literally the product of hospitality, unity, economics, because the colored tribes originated from traders mixing. It wasn't from Umlungu coming here and graping our Khoisan ancestors, okay? No. We are, if you go look at your genes, you will see that you have a rainbow. You, the true rainbow. Not the LGBT. No, that's not the rainbow. A rainbow is you, colored man. You see, the colored man is the most feared person currently on earth because of your vast lineage. That makes you extra strong. Because what happens with biology is when the baby is building itself in the woman's body. Remember, for that 9 months, the baby takes over the woman's body, right? That is so important to self-care, my sister, and be extra obsessive over your health in those 9 months, because your body is not yours, it has been taken over. And what that baby is doing, it wants to come out in its strongest form. So it takes all the strengths from all the genes that it can find in the DNA. Okay, and that's why you'll find that colors are so talented. We can do 1,000 different things. Dancing, paint, you know. It's because of that that genes. Another thing is, we are a symbol of unity. There's no color in their right mind that's going to go fight in a war, because even if we don't know it consciously, our spirit knows that my distant cousin is there, my estranged aunt is in this place, blah, 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 blah. So they already know that's not going to work. And Hitler already tried to get the colored man to come and fight in his wars. Eh? He said, yo, give me 500 of those Bushmen and I'll win this war. Because he knew how dangerous is a Bushman. Not just with a machiniwam, but with a stone. Okay? David, how did he get Goliath? With a stone. Don't play with Amabushi, okay? A Bushi will throw as far as a helicopter, okay? It's been done. Go into the archives and you will hear the stories of riots in Aldos. Do not play with the Bushmen. That's why by nature we're so calm. That's why when you go to a colored area, you find all races can live there. We're not gonna... Do you know the last time we had looting here in Noordgesag? It wasn't the colored people of Noordgesag. It was some drug addicts, let's just be honest, right? Or some drug addicts from Omoville and stuff that came down, who weren't colored, came down, they recruited 3 or 4 of the drug addicts here, and they were the ones that looted. It happened about 5 or 6 years ago. The rest of the colored community was literally standing and mourning that tamati sauce that just got smashed there. So, yellow bottle tamati sauce. Mors geld. You know, literally when I walked up, I walked up on that day and the colors were standing back. Nobody was running with bags of million foko. It's not in our nature. You understand? We are the biggest threat. If you go look in the Vatican now, you're going to find Khoisan history and artifacts. I was saying to someone, I have a serious mission on my hands, because when you go to the herbalist or if you go to Faraday, all those herbs are not in my mother tongue. So it's not in Khoisan languages. It's not in our Griqua languages or Nama. So I have to now remember these names of these herbs and stuff for me. You understand? A Bantu healer gets to use their mother tongue languages, right? So me as a colored, because we've been stripped. You go into the English, you go into the history book, you'll find a small piece like this about the Khoisan. Nothing about carrying Jan van Riebeck on our backs because they were so sick and scared of the sea. Nothing about how we ambushed them 150 years prior to that when they tried to do that move that they pulled in the 1600s. In 1650, they tried it 150 years prior to that. That's how long it took them to strategize and come back here with our own gold formed into spoons and jewelry. And that's how they manipulated and tricked people with pretty little trinkets. Okay? Okay? Bushmen? That's how they tricked us. Nothing to be ashamed of. They use our own gold. Our own gold that they mined here 150 years before. Not even 150 years, 200 years, whatever before. And they came back here with those same trinkets. What a joke. My son was asking me, why are the countries in Africa still paying tax to France? Mama, and then he brought up a point. Yeah, he brought up a point that, like, what would France be without their tax money? It wouldn't be a holiday resort. And how are we as Africa allowing this, you know? How are we so distracted with other bullshit that we don't see that one of our brothers here are still paying tax to a little country that's the fraction of its size? So this thing is deep. But anyway, let me say goodbye to thee with a poem. Please be softer. Why don't you go in your little house, Zion? Okay. Why my babies and I still sleep on the floor? I refuse to settle. I know I deserve more. Not a man who can't fix a broken door. Not a father who has nothing to stand for. No more feeling exposed and raw. We still sleep on the floor because I decided to honor what I'm here for, to leave that job that drained my core, to stop doing what I wasn't properly paid for, to build a legacy with foundation secure, to only do what keeps me pure, to invest in what brings me awe, to not medicate but rather cure, to trust my heart even when I'm not sure, and to be fueled by what my path has in store. Okay? Get married to your destiny. Get married to your highest potential. And let everything else fall into place. Okay? Protect that ace.